Good morning. All right, guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey,
How was your weekend?
good.
Awesome. Tell me some good news. Did you guys meet some new folks, have some fun, relax a little bit?
I got
Okay.
stuff done around the house.
Good. Okay. Well, that has to happen too.
Me too, working on painting my office.
All right. Setting up a kind of a place to work from home, right?
Yeah.
All right. Tawantis, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, I was so busy, but I was so productive. The good thing is, as far as real estate, I got to get a contract, another property under contract that I was mentioning that I was trying to do anyway.
Beautiful.
So we got to go under contract this weekend, went binding last night.
Nice. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes, pray
Nice
for
job.
me. I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher this morning, y'all. Please pray for me, please.
Awesome. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Liz. All right, anyone want to share any positive news? Anyone get a chance to do anything cool this weekend? Relax a little bit? Any big successes you want to share?
Did 2 open houses. One of them I was putting out the sign and a lady came up to me from her house and said, I want to sell my house in the spring. Do you have a card? Oh yeah, and my boyfriend wants to sell too, and we want to buy a house in the mountains.
Isn't that
Oh,
incredible?
awesome.
Okay.
You just go out and put signs in the ground all day.
Yeah, that'll work.
Wow, 3 deals, huh?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
All right, now you get to surprise and delight them until they work with you.
Right.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let me, what is going on? Okay, couple of quick, I'm gonna ask you guys to do me a couple quick favors. I have not looked at you individually, but if you could please update all of your numbers. I've got a couple meetings at the beginning of the week where I'm asked to share my numbers, and I want to make sure that I have the most updated stuff. So if you have any questions about reporting, or you just need to spend 5 seconds to do it, please do so. As of now, we should obviously be done with all of July. And then the first 2 weeks of August should be reported, and the goals for the third week of August should be reported. Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions about that, by the way?
I do.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
have one question. You report a week in advance?
You report your goals a week in advance. So for example, the time period ended yesterday. Yesterday was the 16th. So the tab that says August 10th through 16th, you would go in and fill out the actuals, which is that gray bar. And then once you're done with that, you'd go to the following week's tab and report your goals. And the goals should be basically what your standard is for the week, plus any type of shortfall that you need to make up. Or if you're, for example, if you're ahead, then presumably you don't have to, it could be less than your standard, right?
Okay.
But just to throw this out there is, we all have a bunch of stuff that's going on. So for example, a lot of kids are going back to school, or maybe we're taking a trip and we're going to be away for a couple days, something like that. That needs to be evaluated, right? So if there's a day or 2 or 3 that you can't work, don't use that as an excuse to not put up the numbers you need to put up. Just deal with that in how you plan, right? So you say, hey, I'm off on Friday, so I'm going to work double time on Thursday, right? Don't say, well, I'm off on Friday, I didn't hit my goals. I mean, you knew you were going to be off on Friday, right? So remember, the goals is equated to what you want and why you want it. Let's make sure we get after it. Okay.
Got it.
All right. Beautiful. Let's do just a tiny bit of housekeeping. So today at, what is it? Hang on. Okay. Today at 2 o'clock, we are going to go through the listing presentation, sharpen your skills with the listing presentation. So, as you guys know, there's about 4 million different ways to do a listing presentation. I'm going to walk you through one that is kind of a blend between the original bold and the new bold. And it's going to be jam-packed with scripts. We will, there'll be a combination of what I'm saying and let me see if I have it in front of me. I'll have it in front of me by the time we work together later on today. It's this stuff. Like if you go on to command and you see the listing presentation on there that's editable, right? I'll show you some of the slides that I think are important, like the marketing plan and finding your buyer and that kind of stuff. So we'll walk through the pages that I think are important here. Again, it's just me. You could do whatever you want. And then a set of scripts that walk you through, okay, here's what I'm going to say before we get to this page. Here's what I'm going to say after. And it also will include some Chartmaster slides that I may put into the conversation or the appointment, and I may reserve them just based on how the conversation is going. Meaning, like, for example, I don't necessarily need to bring out a slide on fighting them on the initial sales price if they aren't fighting me on it. You see what I'm saying? So it's just a hint. I think there's like 7 or 8 slides that I'm ready to pull out if and when the time comes that I would benefit from pulling it out. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Will that one be recorded, Bill? Because I have to leave in the middle to go get my kids for carpool.
Yep. The standard, I have screwed up once or twice in the last 5 or 6 months, but the standard is that it would be recorded. Yep. And I believe I am completely updated on YouTube. So anything that you may have missed in the past or didn't catch the whole thing is available on YouTube.
Okay, I'll try to do it on my car while I'm driving, but I'll get kicked out when I hit a certain street. I have no service there, so.
That's okay. I won't take thank you for bringing that up, or otherwise I would have said, man, I must have pissed her off or something. I don't know.
No, I'll lose service.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, let's talk. Our agreement today was to talk about mindset. We talked a little bit about a mindset last week. Is there anybody that kind of heard something last week that kind of shifted the way they think about something? Or many of us are taking bold right now, and one of the things that they talk about is keeping one of the bold laws, kind of like top of mind throughout the week. Something like, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change, or your cells eavesdrop on your thoughts, or, let's see, no pressure, no diamonds, right? Focus on the plan, not the problem. What you focus on expands. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Is there anybody that's read through those bold laws or that has listened to something outside of this content that has affected their mindset positively over the last week or so? This can be as interactive as you guys want it to be. Okay, you just want me to lecture about mindset for 20 minutes? No problem. Okay, so what I'm gonna make a couple recommendations. Number one is I think that you should pick a bold law every week and write it down and stare at it throughout the week. Just let it be in your planner. Just let it be in your planner. Okay, so who's in bold right now?
I am.
Okay, that's.
I am too.
I am.
I know. Rose and Natasha, are you in bold right now?
No, I'm not.
Natasha? Heather, what about you?
No, I'm not. Sorry, I was trying to unmute it.
Okay.
I'm in Ignite right now, so I couldn't do both at the same time.
One thing at a time. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to ask everyone that's in bold to look at your papers and find a bold law that you want to have in the back of your mind, or really in the front of your mind, I should say, this week. Okay. And for those that are not in bold, I'm going to give you one to have in your mind. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Fear or faith, you choose.
Oh.
Fear or
Faith.
faith. Fear or faith, You choose. Okay, what that means in my eyes, and you can, as you're pondering it this week, you'll probably come up with some individual thoughts about it. The way I think about that phrase is, look, let's say there's a task that has to come, or there's an issue that needs to be addressed, right? You basically have one of two ways to deal with it. Okay, you can either be fearful and like let it stress you out and let it get your confidence down and all these things, or you can have faith that you got a bunch of great people around you, that you spend every day getting smarter, right? And that whatever will happen will happen. Most of that stuff is out of your control anyway, right? And when you adopt that mindset, then you can just, it's not like a religious faith, okay? It's just a faith that everything is going to work out, right? So why stress about it? See what I'm saying? If they don't agree to fix the doorknob, then whatever. Like, that's not anything you can control. Does that make sense? Anyone want to share the bold law they wrote down?
So last week, for me, my bold law that I kind of focused on was complaining equals garbage magnet.
I like that one.
Yeah, because coming back from vacation, I felt disorganized and behind, and I started getting into a negative place. And so when we were in bold last week, that one stuck out for me, and it helped me kind of to get into a more positive mindset during the week.
Okay, can I ask you a few specific questions about that?
Sure.
So when you, so you had that on the top of your mind, you'd already committed to attempting to change your attitude that week, right? So
Yes.
when a negative thought came into your mind, how did you deal with that immediately, and how did you shift that immediately?
Well, just like I said, I had that one on the top of mind after we started bold last week, and just reverting back to that, like remembering that complaining is not getting me anywhere. It's just bringing more negativity. So focus on what I need to do, what action I need to take to make things better. And that's what I did.
So like, I know I'm trying to dig at this a little bit, but like, was there like, oftentimes we combat a negative idea, or we try to make a transition away from a negative idea through maybe some form of gratitude, or some form of like, maybe you think about your family, or you think about, something that makes you excited, or you read something positive. Was there anything like that you introduced?
Well, to be honest, I do meditation for gratitude in the morning. And I don't know, I was struggling with gratitude last week, to be totally honest. I was having a difficult time being grateful. So that's not something that worked for me last week. It was just really trying to get organized and focused again. That's what I was really relying on, trying to get focused. But gratitude is a big thing for me, and that does help me get through the week usually.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anyone else have any thoughts they want to share? No. Oh, okay. I heard a line last week that I've been thinking a lot about, which is work ethic eliminates fear. What do you think about that? Work ethic eliminates fear.
Bill?
Yes.
This to one is, yeah, I think that actually is very true in every facet of it, because the more that you're actually able to stick to your, to what it is that you actually have to do, and the more knowledge that you're able to also acquire in what you do, it definitely builds up your confidence, so that fear factor starts to diminish. That's just my personal thoughts about it.
Yeah, I think that's you basically said exactly what I would have said, which is that, number one, it almost eliminates that, you don't have a lot of time to think about fear, right? You're just busy being active, right?
Right.
And that also begs the question, are you active in the right stuff, right? Is your work ethic rooted in fiddling around with your website, or is your work ethic rooted in growing the number of people that know that you're in real estate and learning how to be a better salesperson, right?
Right.
Assuming that we do the right work ethic, number one, we have less time to be fearful. And secondly, we feel more in control, right? We
Mhm.
feel more confident. And therefore we don't really think about any type of deficiencies so much.
Right.
Right. It's generally when we're not in an active state that we get overly concerned about being fearful. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It
What other
does.
ways do you think that we overcome fear? How can we pre-plan to overcome stress and fear?
Time blocking.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Having a plan to attack the fear. Knowing
Let's
that you
go into more detail.
well, if you're time blocking and you have a fear of not making enough contacts in a week, you time block a specific amount of time to tackle that fear, to make sure that you are getting enough contacts, to make sure that you are setting that time away instead of getting to the end of the week, getting to Thursday and saying, you know, I was afraid of it, so I avoided it, and now it's double the fear. So if you time block all week long, it helps with that.
Right. It's not a coincidence, by the way, that we've been doing the Bold 100 the first Wednesday of the month. The Wednesday is just because of my calendar, to be perfectly frank with you. But the first Wednesday of the month is so that we can try to get we can get a leg up on our stats for the month, right? I'm usually able to like book enough business in that day for the whole month. I mean, not to say that I'm not lead generating, but like the vast majority of my activity and the people that I'm going to court over the course of that month were generated that day. Make sense? Okay. What else? Who else wants to share?
I have an activity that I've done, I think since I was like a little girl, to help with like anxiety and fears and things like that.
Yeah, share with us.
Okay, so I don't know, it might be kind of dumb, but it worked for me.
I doubt it. It's helped you. It's not dumb.
If I was afraid of doing something or there was something I had to do and I was worried about it, I would give myself 3 minutes to freak out. So I would set a timer. Back then it was like on my little crazy phone, but now it's like it's on my iPhone. And I would set it for 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, I would say everything that could possibly go wrong. What would happen if those things happen? What would be the repercussions if those happened? And then why I was scared. And then I would give one big loud scream. And then the timer would go off, and that was it. I had my 3 minutes to freak out. I got it out. It was out there. It was in the universe. Now I could move forward. And it seemed like it actually really did help a lot.
Wow. I like that. I'm thinking like, that's the cool thing is like, I hear what you're saying and I don't particularly think that would work well for me.
I
However,
don't think it worked well for everybody. It's just me.
if it works well for you, then by all means, let's do it, right? Let's do it. I think that's great. You know, it kind of reminds me of, you guys have heard of like laughter theory before?
I've never heard of that.
Or not theory, therapy, right? Where you just laugh out loud as you can. It just changes the way your energy is internally. And
I love that.
you take things just a little less seriously. Like, okay, so you got a buyer and seller that can't sort out who's going to pay for the knob. Like, isn't this ridiculous? Like, I'm going to go think about something else and let these people sort this thing out, right? Like, at some point, one of them's going to say, all right, whatever. I'm not going to lose a house over a knob. And meanwhile, you don't have to stress yourself out over these people's craziness. Does that make sense?
I make myself smile.
Yeah, make yourself smile. Like, I forget who it was, came in my office a few days ago, and I was showing her something on YouTube, and I listen to George Carlin sometimes. I think George Carlin's hilarious. And she saw that I had listened to a bunch of, you know, where it says like, recently watched or whatever. And she's like, oh, I love George Carlin. Like, just make yourself laugh a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Talk to me a little bit. Let's talk about confidence for a minute. I think confidence basically solves everything, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if, for example, if you practice your scripts or you practice your presentation or you practice your objection handlers, then, you walk into, let's say you're prepping for a listing presentation. You don't have that concern about what if they ask me to, buy ads in the newspaper? What if they ask me to lower my commission? What if they ask me to, sell the home at this price or whatever? You're like, whatever, I'm ready for that. Bring it on. I may not win, but I certainly know what to say. Right? When you have that confidence, you don't get fearful, you don't get stressed, you don't get anxiety. Okay, so let's go back. How do we get that confidence, right? Well, like what Liz was saying, we got a time block. We got to say, hey, is there a time in my calendar every single day where I am super purposeful about getting better at knowing what to say? Right? For those that are in bold, right? I watched I'll give you a sneak peek of what some of the stuff we've been learning in bold. I love those questions about, or the commentary about avoiding questions by asking the why questions, right? When you ask somebody, well, why are you choosing to move, or why, why do you want to be in that school district, or why do you want a home with a pool, or these kind of questions, it almost makes the person defend themselves. It's a defensive response, right? And it's not all that powerful of a question either, right? They say you got to ask thought-provoking, open-ended, clarity-seeking, solution-oriented questions. How does that fit into your plan, right? What is the outcome you are trying to achieve? When would it make sense to have a conversation about that? Where would you like to take, where would that take you? Anyone want to speak to that? Why we avoid questions that start with a why?
I think you already touched on it. It makes people defensive. Like you said, they almost have to defend their position. And when you ask them something like, well, why is it important to you to have a house with a pool? Then they get to talk about what's important to them, their values, family time, having fun with their kids. It's more of a positive experience.
Well, if you say why, you could say, why would you have a home with a pool versus what is important to you about having a home with a pool? Or
Right.
Tell me more about why having a home with a pool is important to you.
Right.
Right. It's very different. Right. These, again, all this stuff, these language patterns, which we're going to talk about tomorrow morning, language patterns and embedded commands and mirroring and matching and all of these kind of things. Again, that's what builds the confidence. I heard a funny quote. Let me see if I can remember where I wrote it. That somebody says, like, you have your own scripts you're using. Like if somebody is apprehensive to use scripts, say, hey, you have your own scripts you're using now, and they just aren't that good, right? So somebody says, okay, well, I don't like scripts. I'm not going to learn scripts. Okay, great. Let's just practice real fast. I don't want to pay you at 3%. And then they stumble all over themselves, right? And they end up saying things that don't build confidence, don't build professionalism, sound defensive, and they end up either not getting the listing or agreeing to take a lower commission, neither one of which is particularly helpful, right? So wouldn't it make sense to try these? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are awful quiet today. What's going on in your head? What are you hearing?
No, I totally agree. I think learning the scripts will, definitely give me the confidence that I need. Because I don't like to feel unprepared when someone asks me a question. Then I get nervous. And like you said, I would stumble over my words and feel not very confident. So I agree. I think it's important.
It also has to do with the telephone, right?
Mm-hmm.
If, for example, you're not really good, or I shouldn't say really good, but if you don't kind of have the verbiage and the scripts in front of you to deal with a for sale by owner, you're pretty much going to find every possible distraction in the universe not to call them. Oh, I need to make my bed. Oh, I got to clean out that drawer. I think I need to water my grass. Yeah. I think I need to check on my neighbor. Like, you will do just about every single thing possible to avoid that task. And that's kind of why, guys, I know this sounds weird, but that's why I tell you, if you don't get, if let's say you go through this week and you don't write a contract, as sick as it is, I want you to put a 0 there. I don't want you to just leave it blank. I want you to put a 0 there, because that's going to send something off in your head that says, hey, I know many of us, I mean, none of us really need to write a contract every single week to hit their goals. But that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Is the activities that you're doing should be leading to that result. So we go too many weeks without taking a listing, or going on a listing, or going on an appointment, or pending a home or something like that. We got to say to ourselves, I need to re-examine everything that I'm doing and determine what is moving the needle and what is essentially not particularly helpful. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Can I share something about how I practice with my sister, Bill, in California?
wait, say that again.
I wanted to share something about how I practice with my sister in California.
Please.
So when I practice with her, okay, let me give you a little bit of backstory. I used to be a police explorer, and they had told us a story about how when they were practicing the takedowns, you would take down your partner, you'd help them up, and you give them their gun, and that's how you practice. Well, one day, one of the police officers was in a gas station that was getting robbed. He took the suspect down, helped him up, and handed him back his gun, and then had to take him down again and take it from him. And they're like, you have to practice the right way. So with my sister, I call her, it rings, she picks up, we do the script, we hang up. I call her again, she picks up. That way I'm getting the ring. I feel like the ring is a really important part of practicing the script.
Yeah, I agree. You can't just be having hey, how was the weekend? How are the kids? Okay, let's start.
Yeah.
You have to, exactly. I was just watching this thing this weekend on Michael Jordan, talking about practice. And he said, when I really, my body probably could not tell the difference between when I was practicing and when I was in the game. I practiced probably harder than I played the game. Right. And, you gotta try, it's like taking foul shots. It's almost like you gotta fall down and then get up and then go to the line.
Yeah.
Rather than just going to the line. You see what I'm saying? You gotta really be in the action. I know, Liz, you were a basketball coach. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah. You try to put them in the exact game situation that you can every chance you get.
Yep. Tawantis, were you about to say something?
No, actually, I was just agreeing when you guys were talking. That's all, and I think it gave the feedback.
Okay, cool. So look at your calendar and say, is practice important to me? Right? I'll know from looking at your calendar. Right? It's kind of like if you looked at your bank statement. So you go and print out your bank statement. I looked at it, I could tell you exactly what's important to you. Right? Okay, so you pay for soccer practice, and you buy a bunch of fast food, and you go to the movies a lot, and all this kind of stuff. Okay, great. That is what is important to you. Look at your bank statement and say, hey, am I wasting money? Am I valuing the right things? I find it pretty concerning when you'll spend $100 on Lord knows what, beer, But when bold comes around, it's $100. You're like, I can't afford that. Like, get your priorities straight. Okay. Make sense? All right.
Yes.
Anyone want to close this out? All right, guys. Remember, when you know that you're practicing and you're building that confidence, you need to pair that with the fact that you deserve these listings. Remember, we don't get listings. We earn listings. We earn clients. You earn them by learning the market, learning what to say, and going out there and saying it, right? Taking action. Okay. So one thing that we set a goal at the beginning of the month to add 1,800 people to our database as a group in the month of August. We started off pretty good. I haven't seen much results from this past week, but I'm going to ask that you guys really focus on how can I grow my database this week in an unusual, not unusual way, but I want you to add more people to your database this week than you ever have. Okay. So I want you to think about how can I do that? Maybe those people are agents that live in a different part of town that might have business opportunities or referral opportunities for you. Maybe these are people that you're going to go through your LinkedIn contacts or your Facebook contacts, or you're going to go through your kids' school directory or whatever it may be. You're going to finally go meet that neighbor you haven't met yet. I want you to get super purposeful about adding people to your database that are not currently in your database this week. Okay? And I want you to set a number. The number that I've used kind of as a default is adding 2 people to your database every day. I'm going to put a little challenge out there. I'm going to say, I think this week you should aim for 5 people a day. So that's 25 people that you can add to your database. I want you to add to your database this week. So just like Liz, you're saying, I kind of get this like feeling of like, gosh, I'm behind on my goals, that kind of thing. I want you to look at that 25 people and get pissed off that you don't have 25 new people in your database this week. Okay.
Yep.
So
You're frozen.
No, I don't think he knows it.
I'm back.
Oh, okay.
I'm back.
I'm sure what you said was awesome, but
It was amazing.
How many people are we going to add to our database this week?
5.
25.
a day.
5 a day.
Yeah.
25 a week.
25.
25 a week. And you know what? Once we do it, it's like lifting the 50-pound weight all week. And then next week, I'm going to say, hey, guys, you just got to lift a 10-pound. That's easy, isn't it? And then adding 2 a day will be nothing. All right. All right, you guys, I'm looking at you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of you. I want you to share some of your results today and some of the ways that you added people to your database with the group. Be vocal and let's go get after it, okay? And I'm going to see you at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.